You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. World Cup. So that's Sri Lanka. We move on, Jihan, to our team, for you and me, Australia. And obviously, T20 World Cup winners in 2021 when they defeated New Zealand in the final in the UAE, and it was a great victory on that day. Last T20 World Cup, you'll have to say they were pretty disappointing in Australia. They finished in the Super 8s in 2024. They did well to qualify from their group. I'm pretty sure they won all the games from memory. I think they were undefeated, if that is correct. But then in the Super 8s, they struggled against Afghanistan, mainly in that game against the Spinners. And obviously didn't do well after that and had to rely on other results, like Bangladesh beating Afghanistan from memory to qualify at one stage. But that didn't happen.
They lost to Afghanistan, they lost to India, but they won every other game.
Yeah, that's right. So they didn't meet their expectations in the last tournament. This time around, they look pretty good, obviously. They've made some changes from their initial squad and obviously finalised their squads for this tournament. Obviously, Pat Cummins was originally named in the squad, but he's been taken out for Ben Dorshus. Obviously, Cricket Australia not going to risk it with Pat because of his back, which is fair enough. Obviously, Ben Dorshus gets a go. He's done pretty well in the Big Bash over the years. Matt Renshaw will surprise a lot of people, but he's been playing well in the Big Bash, especially this summer for the Brisbane Heat. Scored 100 in that run chase when the Brisbane Heat chased 250 odd against the Perth Scorchers up there in Brisbane. They've got a few injury concerns. Obviously, Tim David, Ellis, Josh Hazlewood, but they seem to be on track and ready to go for this tournament, which is encouraging. And there's some other question marks as well on some other players. In particular, Glenn Maxwell. He didn't really have a great BBL, to be honest, for the Melbourne Stars this year. Didn't bat all that much, and when he batted, he was pretty poor and only scored single figures. So he needs to fire, whereas other players like Cooper Connolly had a pretty good BBL. Mitchell Marsh scored 100 in the BBL season. Travis Head didn't play in the BBL, but he had a pretty good Ashes series. Josh Inglis, bit hit or miss. Xavier Bartlett did okay for the Brisbane Heat, this BBL. Nathan Ellis did pretty well for the Hurricanes. And Marcus Stoinis did pretty well as captain of the Stars in this BBL season. And obviously, Matt Kuhneman took a few wickets. And Adam Zampa was a bit hampered because of injury during this BBL season for the Renegades, but he did okay to pick up a few wickets in the tournament. So it's a pretty good squad when you look at it, Jihan. You would think Australia should qualify from the group. You would think they should qualify from the Super 8s, but given with the seeding and all that stuff, it could be a bit challenging there once we go into the Super 8s, because Australia will play all their games in Sri Lanka in the group stage, and then if they qualify for the Super 8s, they'll play some games in India and some in Sri Lanka. Depends where everyone finishes, of course, at the end of the group stage. So, Jihan, do you think this could be Australia's best chance since 2021 to win a T20 World Cup, or do you think we're going to see the same questions again in the subcontinent, the struggles against spin? Can the batters, succumb that challenge of spin? And can the bowlers take wickets and do a job there, which you think they should, but it's mainly the batting in terms of these conditions with the spin is going to be the big question mark for Australia. But overall, looks a pretty good squad. So your thoughts on Australia, Jihan?
I think they have got a very good chance. It's a great squad. But as you say, I think when you look at it, the batting is power packed. Mitchell Marsh, Tim David, Stoinis, Travis Head, Cameron Green, Cooper Connolly, Glenn Maxwell. Josh Inglis, they're not guys that are going to be getting single ones and twos. So the power is there in the batting. The question is whether they're going to be able to do it against high quality spin bowling in the subcontinent. And I think a few of them do have that ability. You've got good players with spin like Glenn Maxwell, Josh Inglis, Renshaw's a good player spin. And I've heard that apparently Tim David has improved his game against spin as well. But yeah, I think that's where they may potentially come on stock. The bowling is going to be good. If Josh Hazlewood is fully fit, I think that's going to be he's going to be one of the best bowlers with the new ball. Zampa is going to be key in terms of spin bowling, and then I think if Cooper Connolly can keep his place in the side, I think he's going to be a key bowler as well, because he just bowls. He's difficult to get away. He just bowls high sort of darts, or essentially. So he doesn't give the ball all of air. It's difficult to get under him, and he can be difficult to get away. So I think he's going to play a key role with the ball. But then you've also got a couple of players who are out of form with the bat, like Maxwell, and even Connolly himself with the bat hasn't scored all runs recently.
Yes, he dropped away a little bit in the BBL after he had a good start. The bowling was pretty good throughout, but the batting just dropped off a bit.
So he was struggling with the bat. Tim David's coming back from a hamstring injury, although he did before that injury. He was playing pretty well. I watched the innings where he walked off with the injury. Yeah, he was batting pretty well at the time. Josh Inglis has been up and down. I'm not sure how he's going to perform. Marcus Stoinis has been in good form with bat and ball. But
it's probably the best he's looked at for some time, actually.
Yeah. So look, I mean, overall, it's a really good squad. So I think they should be definitely challenging. They should get into the semi-finals, and I think they really should get into the finals.
Yeah.
If they're playing to their potential, they should get into the final.
Yeah, they should.
And also their record has been really good as well. So they've got the second best record after India since the last World Cup. So they've played 7 series, won 5, drawn 1, and lost 1. And the only one they lost was the one they last played, which was the home series against India, which they lost 2-1. But yeah, I mean, other than that, they've pretty much won everything since the last World Cup. So yeah, I think probably a better chance than they had compared to the home World Cup in 2022, where they were really disappointing in that World Cup.
They were disappointing in that. I suppose, being defending champions and all that, it was on home soil as well, and things just didn't quite click into place, which can happen.
I think that's what happened. Maybe they weren't as well prepared for it as they should have been. Actually, I mean, when you think about it, it all got taken away in the power play against New Zealand in Sydney when Finn Allen took things away, took the game away from them, and then they never quite recovered from that. But
yes, and also the game against Afghanistan and Adelaide. Well, obviously they lost to Afghanistan 2 years later, but that could have been a big upset at the time, obviously, when Rashid Khan was doing his cameo there in that close game.
Yeah,
boosting and all that stuff.
So you knew at that time that they didn't deserve to get to the next stage. 24, I thought 24 they had a really good chance, but again they messed it all up against Afghanistan on a slow, low spinning wicket.
Yes, they I think Mitchell Marsh, if he had his time again, would have probably bowled first.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
yes, bowled first.
Yeah, I was at that game, and it was so disappointing because they just fell in a heap, and the thing is, it was one of those games where you go in expecting them to win, or it may be close, but Afghanistan in the end won it comfortably.
They did.
And then on a flat wicket against India, in a game they had to win, they gave away way too many runs, and they almost chased it down because their batting so good, but it was just too many in the end. But I think probably their best chance in this tournament since the last one.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. They should be able to do well. They've got a lot of experience in T20 cricket in terms of BBL, IPL experience. Nearly everyone in the squad plays in the IPL, basically, except for a few. And I think some of them will be playing in this year's IPL as well. So obviously no Mitchell Starc, which is a bit of a difference. Obviously been retired from T20 cricket now. So he's a big hole to fill, but they've got the bowlers who can do the job nonetheless, and obviously Josh Hazlewood being the well-seasoned veteran there. Obviously, a lot of talk about Steve Smith, Jihan. He had a pretty good BBL, as we know, scored 100, 300-odd runs after the Ashes, which was pretty good. Obviously, with this, the changes that Australia made, obviously, Ben Dorsch coming in for Cummins, Matt Short. I think, to be fair, probably the right call with Matt Short because he's been a bit up and down, really, in form. A lot of people have been calling for him to be left out, and that has been the case for Matt Renshaw, which is fair enough. Matt Renshaw had a pretty good BBL. But would you have gone with Steve Smith rather than Renshaw, Jihan? As many people have said, he's in good touch, he's in good form, get him up there to open. But the selectors have said there's no room. And obviously, we wanted a bowling option, and I suppose Matt Renshaw's bowls a bit of spin as well, whereas Steve Smith doesn't really bowl much these days. Do you think it was the right call, or do you think the selectors have got it right?
Yeah, I haven't been entirely convinced by the fact that Steve Smith should be in the T20 side. I feel like in the last few seasons, he's just gone back to the Big Bash and smashed Big Bash teams all over the place. But as soon as he's played in the international T20 team, that next level up, he hasn't been able to be as effective as he has been in the Big Bash. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure if maybe one thing to be able to do that against domestic sides, but at international level, whether he's able to do that, he hasn't. I'm not sure, and he hasn't really proved that, has he? I mean, when you think about it, every time he's had an opportunity, I think if they were going to pick him, probably he could have opened with Travis Head and Mitch Marsh could have batted at number 3. That could have been an option.
Yeah,
they've gone for Matt Renshaw, but is Matt Renshaw really going to play in this side? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he gets into the 11.
Maybe he's just the reserve batter. Mainly.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, he's going to be the reserve batter. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I may have picked Steve Smith over Renshaw, but just because I don't really see a role for Renshaw unless someone gets injured here. But
you would think that if an injury occurs, then probably they may be considering Steve Smith to come over there. If another batter gets injured, for example.
Or to come into the squad.
That's what a lot of people
but then if he's going to come, if he's going to come into the squad, that means he's got to play, right? So, you either pick him and and admit that if Renshaw's being picked, he's going to be the reserve batsman.
Yeah.
Or Renshaw is playing in the 11, but I don't think he's going to be playing in the 11 anyway. So, yeah. I'm not sure that Steve Smith is going to be able to do it on the against other international sides. I mean, I haven't seen him do that before. In T20 anyway. I remember he scored a couple of hundreds off 69 balls in ODIs against India a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, there's always an option for him to come in if someone gets injured. But I think also some of it is you have to look to the future a little bit as well. This is the T20 side's an opportunity to give younger players a bit of confidence so that they're more comfortable in international cricket, whether that may mean playing or getting into the ODI side or test matches further down the line. So yeah, I'm undecided. I mean, it could have been an option, but they didn't go for it. So yeah, let's see what Renshaw can do if he plays.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Some good points there you raised. That's fair enough. Obviously, it's a bit different in BBL compared to international cricket. The level is quite a big drop off there. So I suppose the heat of the moment, emotions, can cloud your judgment in these parts. But he's definitely proved a point, Steve Smith. That's what he wanted to prove. And the Olympics in 2028, he wants to play there. He's made those ambitions clear. But to do that, has to be in the T20 side. So
yeah.
But that's
the irony, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So we shall see there with the Steve Smith conundrum.
I mean, you could make the same argument for David Warner.
Yes.
Please, yes. David, come back out of retirement because you're smashing all these BBL teams everywhere.
Yes,
maybe do with that.
That's right. But the squad that they've selected is a pretty good squad. They should be able to compete and do well, unlike what happened 2 years ago. But the big question mark will be about the spin. How do you play that in Sri Lanka, but also in India? And how would you go against the other teams who played in the other groups that played in India, coming up against them, obviously, in the Super 8s when you do battle with them? Because in this group, you would think Australia should finish in the top two. They may be undefeated. They may only lose one game, possibly against Sri Lanka. Whereas against Ireland, Zimbabwe and Oman, who they played against in the last T20 World Cup, Oman, in that group, they should be able to win those games and do well. So we shall wait and see, but definitely Australia's best chance since they won in 2021, that's for sure. So
I think what they need to do is they need to get their best players with spin into the middle order. So that's Inglis and Glenn Maxwell. And then what you do is you leave the bigger hitters towards the end of towards the back end of the innings. So you get Tim David, Stoinis, Cooper Connolly coming in later on. So they're not having to face as much against the spin. I think Cooper Connolly, I was watching him bat in that first game and playing all his cricket in WA, I think he's really struggling on these slow, low pitches. He was trying to play balls off the back foot, and the ball's not even getting up to halfway up the stump. And he had similar struggles in that one-day series they played in Sri Lanka last year after the Test series. I think he opened in one of those games, and he just could not get the ball off the square. And I think he got one of the longest ducks, like 15-ball duck or something in that game.
Yes, he was swinging like a rusty gate in that innings from memory.
So I think
pretty ugly to watch.
Yeah, so you need to get your better players to spin in the middle order, and then you have the bigger hitters down coming in down the end to sort of boost that score. But once they've stabilised that middle part of the innings, I think that I think that's what they should try and do.
Yeah, it's definitely something that they would consider, and obviously the approach to the batting, going guns blazing from the get-go. Maybe Australia should probably temper that and play to the situation, which you have to do on the subcontinent. especially on difficult pitches that may turn a lot in Sri Lanka, especially because they're playing all their games in Sri Lanka in this group stage, and then obviously in the Super 8s, you'll go into India. So, but they've got experience there. A lot of these players have played in both countries, India and Sri Lanka anyway, so they should be all right. It's just putting those methods into practice. But as we know with Australia, Jihan, in tournaments, you can't rule them out. So that they're always going to be at the business end, that's for sure. And it's probably going to be the same in 2026. So we shall see what happens with Australia in this T20 World Cup.